If you clicked on this video wondering who would actually win a war between Thailand and the United States in 2025, then congratulations, you're about to watch one of the most intense, mind-bending breakdowns we've ever created on this channel. Because today, we aren't just comparing weapons, we aren't just listing military hardware, we're diving deep into strategy, psychology, geography, technology, and the unexpected advantages that most people completely ignore. And trust me, by the time we reach the end, you're going to see Thailand and the United States in a completely different light. So buckle up, because this is not your average military comparison, this is a reality-shaking review of power, determination, and the question everyone is secretly asking but never says out loud: could Thailand actually stand its ground against the world's strongest military? Most people laugh instantly when they hear the idea. They hear United States and immediately imagine aircraft carriers, F-35 slicing the sky, satellites locking onto every target, drones hovering everywhere. But what they forget is that war isn't just about who has the most expensive toys. History shows that smaller nations, when pushed to the edge, can shock the world with unpredictable tactics, asymmetric warfare, and raw national spirit that no more superpower can buy. And Thailand, oh boy, Thailand is not a country you underestimate. It has centuries of never being colonized, a military culture built on discipline, and a strategic location in the heart of Southeast Asia that could turn any conflict into a nightmare for even the strongest force. But before we talk about how Thailand fights, let's talk about how both sides prepare. The United States walks into the battlefield with sheer global dominance, offers 1,3 million active personnel, the world's largest defense budget, fleets of nuclear-powered carriers, stealth bombers that can cross continents without ever being seen, and some of the most experienced combat pilots on the planet. The U.S. military has fought in deserts, jungles, mountains, urban zones, you name it. Their logistics are unmatched. Their radar systems, next level. Their missile range, insane. Everything about their military screams power. But then there's Thailand, smaller, quieter, often underestimated, but extremely strategic. Thailand doesn't need to dominate the world. It only needs to defend its home turf. And defending home turf is one of the biggest advantages any nation can have. Thailand's geography is brutal for invaders. Thick jungles, mountain ranges, narrow choke points, hidden valleys, rivers that can swallow armored divisions, coastal areas that make amphibious landings risky, and on top of that, a local population that is fiercely patriotic when threatened. In Thailand, when danger hits, every village, every town, every soldier becomes part of a unified shield. But let's get deeper, because if full war breaks out in 2025, it doesn't start with tanks rolling across borders. It starts with information, cyber warfare, electronic warfare, satellites, drones. Both sides would hit each other digitally long before they trade bullets. And here, Thailand's strength isn't in overpowering America, it's in resilience. The U.S. might knock out major systems, but Thailand has trained for fallback communication, manual coordination, and decentralized operations. When the big screens go dead, Thailand's military doesn't collapse, they improvise. They adapt. They keep fighting. Now imagine the scenario: U.S. aircraft carriers approach the region. The world expects Thailand to panic, but instead, Thailand activates its anti-ship systems, mobilizes submarine hunters, and uses a combination of radar deception, decoy positions, and geography to force American ships to operate from farther distances. And that matters, because the farther away an enemy must fight, the harder it becomes to maintain dominance. Then comes the air battle. The U.S. sends in F-35S, F-22S, and the F-18S, absolute monsters of the sky, superior range, sensors, and stealth. But Thailand's air force isn't just sitting back. They use home field radar networks, rapid base relocation, and the deep understanding of local air patterns. Thailand can't match the U.S. plane for plane, that's obvious. But what they can do is deny airspace, delay attacks, force the U.S. into longer engagements, and bleed resources. If every U.S. strike takes twice as long and twice the cost, the battlefield shifts. Because war is not a video game, it's endurance. Now let's talk ground forces. This is where people assume the U.S. would dominate instantly, but think again. Thailand's army is built for terrain warfare. They know every cave, every hill, every dense forest. The U.S. can deploy elite units, but fighting in unfamiliar, hostile environments is one of the hardest challenges in military history. Thailand has special forces with jungle expertise that isn't matched. They can strike and disappear. They can shoot off supply lines. They can use mobility and terrain to their advantage. And then comes a critical factor most people ignore: morale. The U.S. has a strong military culture. Yes, but they're fighting far from home. In a hypothetical conflict like this, American troops would be stretched across massive logistical chains, dealing with unfamiliar climate, local resistance, and unpredictable asymmetric attacks. Meanwhile, Thai soldiers would be fighting for their families, their land, their history, their identity. The emotional drive is priceless. When a soldier fights with heart instead of just orders, the battlefield changes in ways raw power can't measure. But let us go even deeper. The real key to understanding this matchup is not who has the bigger gun, it's who has the ability to adapt. Modern warfare punishes rigidity and rewards creativity. And Thailand is incredibly creative. They can turn civilian areas into defensive traps. They can use local infrastructure for ambushes. They can mobilize massive numbers of reservists quickly. They can hide weapons in terrain that satellites struggle to detect. They can use their fast river boats, coastal patrol craft, and small naval platforms to harass, disrupt, and slow down even the largest fleets. On the other hand, the U.S. military machine is predictable. It is powerful, but predictable. It relies on overwhelming force, clean logistics, and stable communication. When those elements get disrupted, the machine slows down. And Thailand's entire defensive doctrine is based on disruption. But let us be clear here. This isn't a fantasy where Thailand magically wins in a head-to-head clash of pure firepower. If both nations stood in an open field with every tank lined up, the U.S. wins. If they fight on a wide ocean where Thailand can't use terrain, the U.S. wins. If the battlefield is technology dependent, the U.S. wins. But real wars, especially against a prepared defending nation, never happen on open football fields. They happen in chaos, in confusion, in uncertainty. And the country with the strongest home advantage often shocks the world. That is why this question Thailand vs United States doesn't end with a simple America wins because it is bigger. That's lazy thinking. The real answer depends on goals. The U.S. could overwhelm Thailand's military, but holding territory, controlling the population, maintaining long-term occupation, that's where Thailand's strength becomes impossible to ignore. And this is where the twist of the video hits. In 2025, victory is not about destruction. It's about sustainability. It's about who can keep fighting the longest without collapsing. And Thailand's small, underestimated, but fiercely resilient would not collapse easily. Not in months. Not in years. Now imagine the final stage of the conflict. U.S. forces grow exhausted by unpredictable terrain, stretched supply lines, and a local population that does not cooperate. Thailand's forces shift into high mobility, high survival mode. It becomes a war of endurance, a war of willpower. And suddenly, the impossible matchup becomes a question mark. And the question mark is exactly why this scenario fascinates millions of people. Because it reminds us of a truth history keeps repeating. Giant armies don't always win. Determined nations don't always lose. And now, as we wrap up this video, ask yourself honestly if the world's strongest military struggles in mountains of Afghanistan, ruins of Iraq, jungles of Vietnam, and the deserts of the Middle East. Would Thailand's home soil be any easier? The real answer isn't just shocking, it's mind-opening. If you want more deep, intense, cinematic reviews like this, hit the like button, comment your next idea, and subscribe right now. Because your support pushes us to make even deeper content and bring you the most addictive military stories on YouTube. And with that, here are the final words that complete this full script. Thailand vs United States 2025. Whose army wins the war?